Welcome back. I didn't know how long I needed to go away from here, and I didn't know how long I was going to be gone, so I didn't want to leave things unattended. It's not... I mean, if I was just going to be gone for a minute, it might have been okay, but I, oh my God, I'm really trying to keep an open mind. I really am. And there was a guy on Threads that was talking about FBI mind experiments, and when the world knew what was going to go on, that it would be the end of the FBI and blah blah blah. And somebody basically called him on. I think correctly. I think the guy's a fucking nut job that needs some fucking help and some fucking medical treatment. But I've seen people like this in the UFO community for a long time. I really have. And like that one I did about Tiger Scientific, and I honestly thought that was fucking nuts. I really did. In the past I would have. I didn't really hear about that until recently, but if I had heard that, say, 10 years ago, I would have wrote it off as like fucking nut job territory. I really would have, without a doubt. And I honestly would have, just complete nut job theater. But that guy that came before Congress, I would have put him in that same category. He was, I mean, there was a story, like if you dig into the Majestic 12 story, one of the guys, and I might have the name wrong, but because I wasn't planning on talking about this, so I didn't take notes or anything. But it was like Forrestal or something like that. He was supposed to be one of the Majestic 12 guys. And the story is that he was going to come forward. He didn't like what was going on, and he was resigning from Majestic 12, and he was going to just tell everybody the truth. And the story they tell, and again, I found it interesting as a story, and on some level, still to this day, I would kind of want proof. If I'm gonna buy into it, I want some proof. And but one of the stories, and again, if they're lying to me, then I'm lying to you. I really don't know. But one of the stories is that his brother, after like a month, because what they did is they locked him up in Bethesda for mental health reasons. And his brother finally, after like a month, got a hold of him and said, look, I'm his brother. Unless you've got something in writing you could submit to the court, I'm his closest living relative. I'm the one that will be making his medical decisions. Again, this is a story. I have no idea. Some of this stuff, if you actually have the ability to dig into it, you find out that they're exaggerating or it's just flat out not true. But when you're dealing with this, if even half of some of the stuff that guy was testifying to Congress were true, if even half of it is true, how can you really trust what's coming out? I mean, it could all be made up. But when his brother, before his brother could get there, because his brother was coming in like a week. And well, before his brother could get there, what they found was that he had jumped out of the window and committed suicide. And there's a story that before so it really looked like, there's at least potential that it was a cover-up. I don't know. And one of the stories is that since it was on a military site, the military had jurisdiction, and it sounds like they may have covered up the fact that the window that he jumped out of had scuff marks, like somebody was struggling not to be thrown out the window. And the other thing is, I think at one point, I didn't hear it recently when somebody was talking about this one, but I think in the past, that should have popped up. But in the past, I think they speculated that where the body was found, it was too far away from the building to be suicide. That he was literally thrown out the fucking window. It's the only way that explains why he ended up so far away from the building. And I don't know. So I try to keep an open mind, but this guy here, he sounded like just a fucking true pilot on the fucking a nut job express. And then, I think I said it on yesterday's, at least I heard it yesterday, that one senator told Republicans in the House, it's okay to follow your heart. Just make sure you take your brain with you. And he said, and make sure you're on your meds. But this guy just sounded, it just fucking out there. Just absolutely fucking out there. I don't know. Let's get it out of the way, the call to action. If you don't mind, please write anybody that you might vote for from dog catcher on up and ask them to legalize assisted suicide. I watched my mom die in hospice, and to me it's not that there's gotta be, there are better options for you as you're getting close to dying. And we need to stop being led around by these fucking religious nuts. We just do. I'm sorry. I have no idea what these... Smithing template. I have no idea what that is. Ingots and crystals. But we just do. We just need to get out from under that bullshit. And okay. Now what I got is, and this is probably just a temporary, I'll probably 2.0 or 3.0 this later, but I actually got one Smith who will give me an unbreaking 2 and efficiency 2. Nothing else is good. Everything else on here is shit. But it'll give me an unbreaking 2 and efficiency 2 pickaxe. So we're moving him off to the side. We're going to temporarily keep him. And this way I know which ones to go to. for good stuff, and I know which ones that when I don't need anything but I've got emeralds, I can just level up. Like this guy here, I'm not going to move them over there. Neither one of these are really overly great, but they're good enough for now. But this way I know this guy isn't that good, but maybe I'll keep leveling these guys up. And I really don't know. I get a chance, I'm gonna go ahead and level them up. I wasn't even aware that there was a lightning storm, but the guy here turned into a witch, and he must have taken out one of the breeding guys. I had enough villagers around that they replaced the farmer, and I think they replaced the farmer and the fisherman, so I was able to put this right back up. But oh shit. I'm trying to plant the fucking thing and... One thing I want to say, I'm kind of watching Da Vinci Code right now. If you haven't seen it, you really should watch it. If you care about the whole UFO thing, it's not really about UFOs, but it is, or maybe read the book. I don't think I've read it. If I did, I don't remember it. But my understanding is the books are really, really good. The movies are, the first one is my favorite, but they're all pretty good. And but the first one to me is the best. It really is. And the funny thing is, it's all based on older information. You know, like when he wrote this book, the History Channel did a what the fuck? The History Channel did a whole thing on how what's in the Da Vinci Code was basically, the information was taken from an older book, and I wish I could think of the name of it, because they had the author in that documentary where they were talking about it. And you know, the thing he points out, and it's a lot like the UFO community. If you are interested in UFOs, I strongly recommend, because I think down the road you're going to find out they overlap. Down the road, you're going to want to get into forbidden archaeology, because it seems to me that there is a lot of similarities between the way the UFO community is treated and the way ancient archaeology is treated. And, you know, the forbidden archaeology. I heard years ago, absolute years ago, and this to me is where, if there's anything to it, this is where the overlap comes in between the two categories. But I heard, I might have still been, even if my memory was better, even if I didn't have this bullshit going on, I'm not sure it would be much better, because this was something I might have heard back in high school. But there was somebody that was pushing a theory. Either that or it was in the 90s when they found that face on Mars. I don't know. But somebody was pushing a theory that we were originally from Mars. And, you know, our species was not native to the Earth. That we came from Mars. And that there was some kind of a tragic catastrophe that either fucked up both planets or fucked up Mars or flipped. I think, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think they said that Mars and the Earth flipped rotations. Like Mars used to be the third planet, and then we became the third planet, and they became the fourth planet. And when you talk to astronomers now, there is this debris field, asteroid belt. I think it might be called the Kuiper belt, but there is a belt of debris in the solar system. And none of us were around a million years ago. There's no way we'd get an eyewitness. A lot of physical evidence would probably be destroyed one way or the other by now. But because you take a look at our civilization, if there was an advanced civilization, and I agree with Graham Hancock that we can't view planes and technology and all this other shit as signs of advancement. It could be that they didn't go down that technological path. Bob Lazar had made the comment that if Tesla had succeeded, we wouldn't have electronics, because if he had made electricity wireless, and there's some speculation that that's what was going on in Egypt, but if he had made it wireless, it would have prevented like personal computers and a lot of the technology, phones and a lot of the shit we use, because like if I'm running an Xbox now. If Tesla had one of his coils in the area transmitting electricity wirelessly, it would activate like everything in it all at once. There would be no electricity flow to make the electronics work. And I'm not an engineer, I'm not a scientist, but it made sense when he said that. Well, they may have, and when you look at studies into ESP and other stuff, maybe we went down a different path. Maybe we developed the mind. When you hear stories that Tesla and Einstein and other great scientists tapped into what Edgar Cayce referred to as the Akashic record, maybe there's something to that. I really don't know, but where did? Oh, okay. But so I think we need to review or basically review what we consider advanced technology. Maybe what we view it as is not what we should be viewing it as. And so I don't know. I want to keep an open mind, but there's some of this shit, and there's plenty of it out there. These people appear to be mentally disturbed. They really do. So I don't know. Yeah, I got that moved over. Ooh. I got two of these the other day, and hang on, I gotta see if I hate it when you restart it. To me it's a glitch, but when you restart it, what they do is they leave you. They automatically toggle this back to the all, and it just got updated, and they still haven't fixed it. Okay, I'm gonna do one dripstone block. and I'm gonna make a dripstone farm. I bought one yesterday, and or I bought one thing, and it gave me like 2 dripstone things, and I was gonna create one yesterday, and I got thinking of, man, I need a block. I can't just put those on. I need the block to have the water go through to the other shit. And but no, the I don't know. I literally do not know. What that guy was, because again, I'm looking at the fact that they've admitted it. The CIA experimented on people with LSD. We've got that Havana syndrome where people are having physical medical things that they can test and prove exist, and they don't know how it's happening. But he was basically saying that the FBI is running mind experiment, and I'm like, oh my god, this somebody, it kind of goes with that senator, hey, don't leave your brain behind, and don't forget to take your meds, and that was immediately the thing I thought of. It's like, holy shit. And I don't know, I just weird. And Obamacare provides for mental health coverage. People need to get on that. We need to do a better job as a society treating mentally ill people in and out of Congress. And but yeah, write your congressman, get them to legalize. And then the other thing is, there's 2 amendments that I've heard of. One of them is from Senator Christian Gillibrand, and that one will be attached to the Intelligence Committee. And then there's one by Chuck Schumer that would get attached to the Defense Authorization Bill. Write your congressman. I think it'll only do you good to write to people in Washington, D.C., but write your senator, write your House member. Sounds like the Senate, unless whoever, if there's some grand cabal trying to keep this secret, unless they're charging Senator Mendenda, fucking look it up. There's a senator that's being charged with federal crimes, Menendez or something. Like, I think I got her out. Jesus Christ. Unless them charging him for real or fake crimes has scared somebody, it sounds like the Senate was on board with this. And we just need to get the people in the House to pass it too. I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope right now, because they got rid of McCarthy, and it sounds like again, I don't even know if they're going to get anybody voted in. They might have to have like 30, 40, 50 Republicans band together with the House and either elect a moderate. I hate to even call her a moderate, but anymore you've got so many fucking nut jobs in the Republican Party. Liz Cheney kind of comes off as, if not a moderate, at least a sane person. And one of the things she recently said was, she can't focus on issues. She goes, I think the thing Republicans need to focus on right now is making sure we elect competent adults to office. She goes, issues will have to come later, but she made the comment that we can't have just one party that is competent. And she goes, and that's what we've got right now. One of the people who did not even vote for outing McCarthy has said that if she's going to vote for somebody else to be speaker, they have to be willing to defund the FBI to basically let Trump get away with his crime. She didn't word it that way, but that's what she meant. She's using her office to obstruct justice. There's so many of them that are currently in there. If we had a real attorney general and if we had a real FBI director, they would probably already be in jail for what happened on January 6th. The people that were tweeting at 1776 now, the people that were tweeting ranking people's locations so the people outside building the gallows had an easier time trying to find them. People that were given reconnaissance tours. the 100 people that Navarro said were part of his plot to overthrow the government, they'd already be in jail. You know, they would have probably been in jail before they were able to run for office again. But yet we've got an attorney general and FBI director who, at least on some level, I don't think they're necessarily bad people. I don't think they're in on it. But they have been shown that they were taking action not based on the law or how things should be, but based on how MAGA is going to respond to it. And our country's not going to survive if we don't get some fucking grown-ups in there. I hate to say it, it's a horrible thing, but we need somebody like Janet Reno back in there. If these fucking mental defects, if these terrorists are gonna fucking do horrible shit, we need an attorney general who will fucking deal with them. We don't need an attorney general who's gonna sweep it under the rug and be like Senator, I think she's a senator from Maine, Collins or whatever. Can't have an AG and an FBI director. Oh, well, maybe they've learned their lesson and we can just move on to heal the nation. No, you heal the nation by locking the fucking criminals up. That's how you fucking heal the nation. And I don't know. It's scary. It really is. It is just absolutely fucking scary. I had this happen a couple times yesterday. Like right now, I'm doing pretty good when I'm hitting these guys, and there are a couple of them I'm not even sure I hit them. And next thing you know, I got hit by one of the golems. So I must have either you know, I don't think it physically showed it, but apparently there were a few times that I dinged them, and they killed me once. The second, I was surprised because I'm like, it was like this. I was pretty sure that I was safe, and I got hit, and I figured it was one of the zombies because that I was used to. Well, as soon as I got close again, you know the message came up. You have died. You were punched by a fucking iron golem. It's like, oh shit. Okay, now this was, I believe, before I got notes, and I think I got some at least years and stuff in it, but protection, okay, we're gonna keep that one. But I got some dates written down. You may not have heard of Betty and Barney Hill. It was an interracial couple back when being an interracial couple wasn't completely kosher. And the only funny thing I've got on this is there's an MMA fighter. Her last name is Hill. She either didn't take her husband's name or she hasn't been married yet, but her last name is Hill. And Joe Rogan had her on for MMA. He did not find out until well after the interview. It was like, as he was doing, it was either the next interview or it was one a couple interviews later. But he found out that she was the granddaughter of Betty and Barney Hill. And he was so upset because if he had known, he would have, because she didn't bring it up. And he was really hoping that he'd be able to get her back on and ask her about it. But he said, you know, she may not, because he goes, she didn't bring it up, so she may not want to talk about it. So now that she knows he's aware of it and wants to ask her questions, he's like, she might not want to come back. But he would have really liked to have picked her brain for like family stories. He really would have. And yeah, that is something cool ever since I built that tunnel. Occasionally, I'll come by and sometimes I'll see them getting killed like that. And then there's been times where I come by and out of the corner of my eye, I'll see a stack of fucking flowers and I, iron bars because sometimes they spawn. I don't know why they do. They shouldn't, but sometimes they spawn right there, which is kind of, I'm gonna call that a glitch. But I don't care that they I don't care that they form there because I get to pick up, as long as I'm there to pick up the loot, I don't mind it. I'm more, instead of making an iron farm, I've got it to where I can actively trade with the villagers. I will need to make, what I might do is make my iron badger. Uh, okay, well, what we got is Betty and Barney Hill. They reportedly were abducted. I believe it was 1961. It was the first ever recorded encounter where they actually, if I'm not mistaken, because that's what they said, it was the first ever recorded encounter with the Roswell gray aliens. And by recorded, I think where these people came forward, they told their story, it was able to be investigated. I don't think it came out in my notes, but if I'm not mistaken, somebody that interviewed them, and I don't know if it was local police or FBI, they honestly believed that the Hills believed it. They did not think, and I think it was before they were using lie detector tests. But they honestly believed that the Hills believed it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not saying they believed it, but they believed the Hills believed it. And they also felt that something had happened. Now, whether it was an alien abduction or they were attacked by a racist mob and, just started imagining things, to kind of like they know some people do, where your brain doesn't remember the truth, but it remembers a story. And it's the brain's way of coping with extremely traumatic things. It was allegedly near Portsmouth, New Hampshire. You want to look that up on a map. That's reportedly where it happened. And what had happened was they saw something, and then from their standpoint, they just jumped through time. They blacked out. They didn't really remember it, if I'm remembering it right. They oh God, something in the sky, and then boom, oh my God, it's hours later. That was their perspective. And then they started to remember stuff later. And I believe they went to someone who gave them like regression therapy hypnosis, where they were basically put under hypnosis and they attempted to remember the story. And that's where they remembered stuff. And Oh, and when they remembered, apparently, I think it was Barney Hill. He was like a postal worker, and I think she was a stay-at-home mom. You know, the world was different back then than what it is now. And he saw aliens in the window of the craft. That was one of the things that he had said. They had a memory loss of about 2 hours. And they started having, I guess they didn't remember, they started having sleep problems. And when they did remember, with the help of the therapist, they remembered sexual experimentation. Like, I believe they took some of his sperm. So, you know, I hate to say it, but it's probably like those things where you take your dog into the vet and they jerk the dog off and collect his semen. It's probably the same kind of thing. They are not sure, but they think that some of her eggs were taken. Okay, now this is the part that makes me want to believe this. She remembered being shown a star map. And she remembered having a conversation with the aliens, like she wanted them to explain the map, and then they go, well, looking at that map, do you know where Earth is? And she said, well, no. He basically said, he goes, well, then what good would it do to explain it to you when you know so little about your neighborhood or, you know, the area you live in? But she drew what she remembered from the map. And again, it was investigated. Some of it by law enforcement, some of it by UFO investigators. But there were people who knew astrology or astronomy, and they reviewed it, and none of it made any sense. Well, then what happened was, a number of years later, after they had better telescopes and better information of the solar system, you know, the sky. And I want to say it was at least 10 years later. This was not like, oh, it was in the works, and they, you know, but no, this was years and years later. Well, after they had updated star maps and they had better information about the planetary systems and whatnot, somebody actually identified it, and I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was the Reticuli star system was where these aliens came from. Experts cut. In 1966, astronomers spent 7 years working, so we're talking like 66 plus, so it'd be like 73. After new star found, better knowledge identified Zeta Reticuli is where they think the aliens came from, and that is the part that I find hard to explain away if you want to debunk this, because she drew a map that it would take like 12 years. And maybe they didn't draw it in 61. It could have been like, 62, 63. Well, let's just say it was 63. She drew a star map that would not be accurate with our knowledge for another 10 years. And then after they updated stuff, then lo and behold, they knew what it was. So this is kind of like when you've got those old maps. They were made from using older maps, and they were way more accurate than anything that was being drawn in those times. And you find out, well, nobody knew about Atlantis, or not Atlantis, but Antarctica. And you find out that these guys in the 1500s had knowledge of the continent of Atlantis, several hundred years before we even discovered it. And they had accurate information. Now that they've got the ability to look into it from satellites and that, they've got accurate information of the landmass under the ice, clearly that had to be taken either by advanced satellite information like we have now, remote viewing like we're dabbling with, or it was drawn at a time when you had an advanced civilization able to make a map like that when there was no ice on it. One of those three has to be true, because there's no way somebody in the 1500s with what we know of that time could have accurately drawn Atlantis without the ice on it. So I don't know. That is stuff, some nut job talking about, brain experiments, and where he lost me, and again, he didn't really have me, but where I am really a little more willing to put this guy off as nuts is when he started talking about how we had to get rid of the FBI. I don't care if they're left or right. Like and I like AOC, but I'm sorry, and I told her on Twitter, I sent a message to her account. I go, look, when you are sitting there saying we need to defund the FBI or defund immigration, defund, border security, I go, you sound as nuts as the people on the right when they want to talk about defunding education or they want to talk about defunding the energy department. I go, you really come off to moderate people as just as nuts is when they want to expose us to maybe a radiological or nuclear bomb coming through the border because somebody wants to defund the border inspectors because corporations don't like having to be inspected and whatnot. Well, yeah, they're probably breaking the law like Trump did. So I don't know, but that is in a nutshell. And this is the thing, and I don't know if it'll do any good, but I did reach out to Congress. I contacted them on Threads, and I go, look, if we go forward, we can't just do what some Republicans want to do, where we just declassify everything and open it up. You're going to have to have somebody look at it, and I go, now whoever does it should have the authority to declassify everything. They should take over everything UFO related, everything alien related, whether it's the military, the civilian branches, or intelligence. And they should have the ability to declassify them. Because my thing, and I said this on a stream, I think, if you've got people hiding, like the ones that one House member said, well, we wanted to put in something that would force them, that would force the FAA that when they get a report of UFOs from pilots that they then have to turn it over to Congress. And to me, again, I would need to know the exact language, but if what he's saying is absolutely true, I don't see the downside of that. If it's real, we should know. If it's not real, who gives a fuck? Either way, Congress should have access to that information. But he said that the intelligence community, not the committees, and I think I said this before, if you had the intelligence committee going, hey, you guys need to just stay in your lane, we got this, we'll figure this out, that would not be nearly as bad. It might still be bad, but you could make an argument, okay, well, they're just protecting their turf, they will do what they're going to do, they're the intelligence committee, so maybe you should leave it to them. Like, if you're someone that wants to start doing a whole bunch of shit to if you're the agricultural committee and you want to start doing a whole bunch of things to the military because of mad cow disease or fucking cattle mutilations, Well, the military committees and subcommittees might be like, hey, no, we're not going to do that because it's going to fuck over what we're doing, and you guys don't have the expertise over the military to start dictating shit. That, again, right or wrong, it's at least understandable, but he basically was saying that they were being told no by unelected people. That doesn't make any sense. That literally does not make any sense. So I don't know. But I told them, they need to be able to declassify anything without talking to anybody else. They shouldn't have to have presidential approval, anything, because I go, they need that nuclear option so that if they get the military or if they get the intelligence or if they get some corporation or something else that is fucking around, that would be an option where they could be like, okay, well, you're not going to give us anything on Project XYZ. Well, okay, I hereby declassify everything connected to Project XYZ. You can't do that. All I have to do is put my fucking signature on it. That's all I have to do. You can't do that. I can do it, and I'm gonna if you don't have everything I fucking requested here by the end of the day. You've had a month. You've had 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. We need more time. Well, you got till the end of the day. At 5 p.m., I'm signing this, and I'm going to send it out. It will be declassified by the end of the day if it's not in my fucking office. And then that way it would be a line of threat. They also need the ability, I told them, they need the ability to appoint a special counsel, a special prosecutor, who will go after anybody that is threatening, intimidating, obstructing, harassing anybody in that office. If they got one clerk in the military that's fucking around with somebody he dated for 2 weeks, guess what? They get hauled in front of that special Are you doing this because of well, no, I'm just a fucking idiot and she said no. Okay, well, we'll just move on. But they need the ability, because we've seen it recently, where you had these people that were supposed to come before Congress, and Congress is hearing through the grapevine that they were intimidated. They were harassed and intimidated into not coming forward. And I don't know if they're going to do it, but this is the shit they need to do. They need a prosecutor who can put these people in jail. Because until they start locking these people up, I don't know that it's going to get any better. Because that's the thing, this is Congress. And I don't know if I think I talked about it, but just in case I haven't, they had a case with Harry Truman. It was enough of a real thing where they put it into a movie about it. Where he was looking into something that the government, something where money was going and somebody he knew in Congress could not get to the bottom. He was threatened. So he goes, you're the vice president, maybe you can look at it. They strong-armed a sitting vice president to keep the Manhattan Project secret. Nuclear weapon development. They threatened, harassed, strong-armed, and silenced the second guy in line to the throne for the king or the president. And it's like, what the fuck? And then, again, I really don't know, but there was a sitting governor. He wanted to get to the bottom of the Phoenix Lights. Next thing you know, all these federal charges came out. And here's the thing. I don't know if he actually did it or if they made the shit up. I literally don't know. But all these charges came out. And as soon as he backed off, then the charges started disappearing. He was offered a sweetheart plea deal. It wasn't a Jeffrey Epstein sweetheart plea deal, but he was offered a plea deal. but it wasn't until after he backed out. You can look at the timeline. I don't think I'm wrong on this. You know, feel free to look into it yourself. And it's like, oh my God. And, you know, we saw this with Epstein. This is a guy who was fucking around with these women. And they, at one point, the state of Florida was going to charge him. The federal government came. And there were rumors at one point where somebody was saying that he was connected to intelligence. You know, because it really, I mean, again, it really looked like they had him dead to rights. Well, then why wasn't he prosecuted? Well, somebody was saying he's connected to intelligence, and that's why he got away with it. Matt Gaetz is another one. You know, the evidence on him looked overwhelming for drug use, trafficking, not just statutory rape of young women, but human trafficking. You know, traffic them, you know, human traffic them like prostitutes and that. And it looked like they had him dead to rights. And then all of a sudden all those disappeared. This is a problem I got with Ray, and I got with, well, it sounds like Ray might have done his job. It sounds like they investigate him. It sounds like the whole holdup was with Garland at Justice. And it's like now you look at the stunts that he's pulling. Did somebody maybe save his ass on the condition that he was basically their fucking tool in Congress? Did he basically try to blow up Congress recently, shut him down in a way to maybe distract so we don't get these amendments passed that Schumer and Gillibrand and Rubio drew up? That Senator Mendoza, was he basically charged, much like that Governor's Fife or Simonson or whatever his name was out in Arizona, was he charged like him? Was it something that he did or didn't do, but he was never going to be charged until they needed leverage on him? I don't know. I just find it weird. And now it just came out, there's a Republican senator who has come forward, and he said that, you know, Matt Gaetz used to talk about having sex with underage women and taking Viagra and energy drinks so he could fuck all night and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I kind of tagged, you know, the story that was shared on Threads, I tagged MSNBC in it and the Democrats. And I go, okay, well, here's the two things we got to get to the bottom of right away. Is this true? You know, is what he's saying true? I go, based on other stuff, I would say there's a good chance it is, because it kind of matches up with some of the reporting on the investigation into his fucking illegal activity with underage women. And if it's true, then you really need to get to the bottom of why was this senator okay with it, a Republican senator? Why was he okay with it until Matt Gaetz did this? So it's okay for him to fucking rape young women and do drugs as long as he's not fucking up the Republican agenda. These are things we need to know, you know. I just watched Starship Troopers the other night. It's good to watch some of them old movies every now and then. You know, sometimes that's all you choice you got, but it's still nice to watch them. But I would like to know more. Like the thing in the thing when they were showing you news clips, would you like to know more? Yeah, I'd really like to know more. Why did this Republican senator think it was? I mean, is he lying now? And if he's lying now because he's mad at Gaetz, well, then maybe he should be dealt with. And if he's not lying, you really got to ask, why was this guy okay with this shit? You know, why was he okay with Matt Gaetz raping young women until Matt Gaetz fucked over the party like he did? To me, that is something that you should have cared about from the get-go. That isn't something you should have just swept under the rug and all this other bullshit, you know. And I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, I got this done now. I still want to. I'm thinking about it. I think I want to make a path that way. So like if I'm here and I want to go over to that base, I can just go down here. But if I want to go over there, I want a path to cut. I want to have to go this way and then go back that way. But I might just leave this as is. I'll put a building around it eventually. I might even have it come out a little further. I kind of did the math in my head, and it wasn't nearly, could have been a lot worse, but what I did is, like, when I went down to that hallway down there, I went 3 here and then 2 up. And then 3 and then 2 and 3. And then when I got here, I could have went 3 and 3, or maybe I should have went 3 and 4. But if I would have went 3 and 3, I would have probably only had 2 or 3 steps. But I can extend this out. But what I'm going to do, and I got this all smoothed out, what I'm going to do is I got to work on this. I'm not later. There we go. Might dig this out more, but I got, because this thing was up in the air about 10, 12 blocks, but I got it all dug out. I put the obsidian and the crying obsidian in here. I don't know if you can actually make a portal with those. You could definitely put them in the corner pieces. But and then I got, this took a couple trips, but I got enough buckets to pull all the lava out of there, so I can use some of the lava I can use to decorate it when I'm done, but I can use some of the lava to actually create any obsidian that I need to. I can just put some water on it, put the lava in place, and it'll turn into obsidian, and get the portal. I might do that either today, tomorrow, or next couple days. I'll probably do it. I probably won't be trying to do it because I just, over here it's not very lit up. I don't know if I want to be doing it in stream. If I do, I would go to peaceful because I just want to focus on what I'm doing so I don't get my ass kicked over here. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I got my story done. I think I stayed with it pretty good. I talked about some other important stuff. If I hear as I hear new things on the political front, I will update them when I can. If I actually get a chance to take notes again, I will do another story. I seriously think that if you are interested in UFOs, you have to actually get interested in forbidden archaeology, the stuff that mainstream, because I seriously think that at some point what we're going to find is the UFO story is going to be linked to the forbidden archaeology. It's like I got sidetracked a little bit, but when I was talking about Mars, they there was that one theory, and again it was just shit on. But that guy that said, oh yeah, we actually used to live on Mars, then something happened and we had to come here. And then, you had the face on Mars. I think you had Professor Hoagland, I think was his name. He gave the briefing to NASA on the Cydonia region. And NASA has not gone back. After they found those pictures of the face on Mars, after the Hoagland briefing, they haven't sent anything back. And they're like, oh, well, there's nothing there. Well, then why are you afraid to send it back? It sounds to me like there is something there they don't want you to see, would be my guess. But this guy found out that mathematically the whole Cydonia, I think I got the name right. It's the whole Cydonia region of Mars. It matches up with the Great Pyramids in Egypt. The Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, like if I'm not mistaken, the face on Mars is actually where the Sphinx is. And they had he could show you what looks like pyramids covered with sand, and mathematically they are in the same exact proportions as the Great Pyramids in Egypt and the Sphinx. Mathematically, it all matches up. And the chances of that happening accidentally by nature seem like pretty far-fetched. According to the mathematicians, it is pretty far-fetched. And then NASA, they did some experiments, and one of the things they found was when they get these astronauts outside of Earth's orbit, their natural body clock reverts to a Mars day. What they have found is that if the human body is at the average temperature on Mars at the equator, it doesn't make bad cholesterol anymore. You know, another thing is most animals here on Earth, when they are born, within hours, within a couple days, they can usually get up and start walking. Dolphins, whales, you know, usually within a couple days they're up and moving. And when you look at cats, when you look at dogs, when you look at humans, we don't match up with a lot of the animals on this planet where they appear to be used to the gravity, genetically used to the gravity. With dogs, cats, and humans, it takes months, years before we can handle the gravity. And, you know, this is all evidence. You know, maybe it's not hardcore, real solid, but when you start stacking it up, you get to the point where it's like, oh my God, this is starting to add up now. This is absolutely starting to add up now. And I don't know. I just don't know. But I hope everybody is having a really good day. I've been having a fairly good day today. I hope everybody's having a good day. If you don't mind, seriously reach out to your elected officials. Try and get assisted suicide legalized. There are better options out there than what we currently have. We need to get them legalized. If you don't mind, reach out to your elected officials in Washington, maybe the president, and let them know that we need Gillibrand and Schumer's amendments passed into law. We need accountability on the UFO issue. Even if you don't believe in UFOs, there's just billions of dollars being wasted every year in the Pentagon. Even if we don't find ET, we will find some corruption. According to that one congressman, there's a billion reasons a year why you should want some accountability brought down on this, where they have to report stuff. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please tickle its balls and slap that like button on the ass for me. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a good day.